Welcome back. Today we're going to make a creamy corn soup. It has a little bit of a kick to it and it's just really delightful. So we're going to start the recipe with, I already have 2 cups of pure water in here. And then we're going to take frozen corn. And you want to use organic corn anytime you use corn because otherwise it's genetically modified. So if I can't get fresh organic corn at the farmer's market or at the health food store in the summer when it's in season, then I buy frozen organic. And the recipe calls for 3½ cups, but we only put 3 cups in the soup and then we save ½ cup for the garnish. So we're going to put that in there, then we're going to take a nice, if you have little tiny scallions, you can use 2. We're just going to use 1 because this is a nice one from the farmer's market, which this is the season to get your produce with all of the farmer's markets that are out there in every community. It is so delightful to go and get produce that's grown right in the community. Local produce is the best you can get. Most of it's picked within 24 hours of them bringing it to market. So it's just full of a lot of nutrients, a lot more than what you would get in the store. Garlic powder, we can put a teaspoon. And 1½ teaspoons of sea salt. And then normally I put a jalapeno, a whole one or a half one, depending on how hot you like it. It just has a really nice flavor to it, and there's just a little bit of a kick afterwards. But I didn't have a jalapeno today, so I'm going to add a couple shakes of cayenne. I do like to have that little bit of kick at the end. And then ½ cup of cashews. Now these have been soaked and drained. So there's more than ½ cup in the measure because when they soak, they absorb the water. And so it's a little bit more. But if you used a dry measure of dry cashews and then you soak them, when you measured it again, they're going to be bigger because they do absorb the water. And I'm going to put just, you don't have to use the oil. I use, this is organic flaxseed oil. I tend to use flaxseed more than olive oil because flaxseed has a lot of omega-3s and 6s. It's a perfect amount, so it's great for inflammation. Most disease starts with inflammation. So the more omega-3s we can get in our diet through a healthy form, the better off we're going to be. All right, so I just put a tablespoon in there, and that just helps emulsify it. So this is just a real quick and easy recipe. I like to blend mine till it's pretty smooth. With the Vitamix, you notice that I will pull it up like this. There'll be chunks on there, and then I know it's not quite done yet, depending on the texture that I'm looking for. So the smoother it is, the more I know. That way I don't have to take the lid off to figure out if it's done enough. And that's just about perfect. Again, the jalapeno adds just a really nice flavor to it that today we are lacking. So before I started making this, I went ahead and chopped up some extra green onion that we're just going to put on here, the green and the white part, as a garnish. The soup is smooth, so it's nice to have something to crunch on when you eat it. And then just a pinch of corn and some chopped cilantro. And there you have Rawk'n corn soup. And this soup really does taste nice cold. If you wanted to heat it, you certainly can, but for summer, the jalapeno, like I said, adds a nice flavor, but that little bit of a kick, it just adds the spice, and so the soup doesn't, I don't miss the heat when I eat this soup. It's one of the favorites when I serve it. Okay, so now we're going to make a sesame slaw. I love a sesame cabbage slaw. I love cabbage. I love cucumber. I just love, I love veggies. I was talking to someone recently and they were telling me how they're changing their lifestyle and that everyone around them is not necessarily embracing what they're doing. And they're finding some resistance among some friends and family. And I think a lot of times when we start to change our lifestyle, when we want to get healthier, when we want to eat better and exercise, other people sometimes feel convicted because they're not doing the same thing. But other times it's our own attitude. And I had a friend share with me recently that if you don't have a problem with it, nobody else will. And you know, that's one of the things that I found when I changed my lifestyle to a raw and plant-based diet. And I was so thrilled with the changes that were happening in my body that I embraced it. I didn't make apologies for anything. I didn't make excuses for the way I ate. You know, if I went to someone's house and I knew there might not be something for me to eat or what they were serving, I took the pressure off them and I'd bring my own food. You know, I was okay with me eating the way that I was eating. And I've never found resistance. I've never found anyone who didn't embrace my journey. So I really think that if you don't have a problem with you, if you don't have a problem with what you're doing, nobody else will either. So just think about that. You know, if you feel like you have to make excuses because you're afraid that you're going to offend somebody, they're picking up on that. So just really, as we talked before about loving yourself, think about that. Are you making excuses for doing something that's good for you? And just change your mindset if that's the case. So today we're going to make this cabbage slaw. Ooh. And I'm just going to take, that's a big head of cabbage, so I'm just going to take this. It's 4 to 5 cups of cabbage is what you would do for a regular recipe. And I just slice it thin. If you have a food processor, you can stick this in on the shredding blade or the slicing blade. Either one will work. And you can shred it. With the knife, you can still get it really fine. I just cut that in half, just to make it a little easier to eat. Cabbage is a cruciferous vegetable, so it's a great cancer fighter. If you have an ulcer, a sore throat, stomach issues, a lot of times just taking cabbage and celery and juicing it, putting it through a juicer, and juicing it, just take a couple of, you know, maybe if you're going to use a cabbage this size, I would just take maybe a quarter of it, put it through a juicer, put a couple stalks of celery with it. If you need to put an apple with it, because the cabbage juice can be a little bit bitter, drink that 3 times a day, and it will heal what ails you. I know that I knew someone that had esophageal ulcers, and they drank this for a week, and they never had to take medication. They never had to. They never had a problem again. It just started healing it from the inside out. So cabbage is very healing. Okay. Next, we're going to take our cucumber, and again, I'm going to peel it just because I want the flesh. This is an organic cucumber, so I wouldn't need to peel it, but I'm going to peel it because I want the flesh to be thin. And the peeling kind of holds everything together. This will break down where you won't be able to tell the cabbage from the cucumber once it sets. Just in about 30 minutes or so, it really breaks down. Okay, there's 2 ways that you can do this. And one of the things that I will do is I just take my vegetable peeler and I just peel all the way around. And I make these strips. And that can be the noodles, the cabbage noodles that go in there, and they'll be just fine. Or you can take a julienner. This is what a julienner. These two come together in a 2-pack. But you take the julienner, it has these little teeth, and it makes little tiny strips, so you don't have to do all that with your knife. I like to do it this way with the julienner. And so I don't peel, I mean, once I peel it, I don't cut it, and I just go all the way around. until they get down to the soft center in the seeds. And then I'll save the rest of this to juice or throw in smoothies. I've started putting cucumber in my green smoothies. I don't care for them really sweet, and the cucumber just gives it an amazing, refreshing flavor. So watch your fingers when you do this, because it is these blades are very sharp. Again, cucumber is very hydrating. The cabbage is full of water. It's very hydrating also. So I'm just going to chop these so they're just not quite as long. Now that was a lot of cabbage. I think that's probably more than 4 to 5 cups. That was a big cabbage there. But I just mix it up. I would probably use 2 cucumbers with this one. The red cabbage is thicker, the leaves are thicker, and so it turns out it still tastes good. It has a different flavor to it, a different texture to it, because this will kind of break down and it won't get mushy, but it will get it'll have some liquid in it. Okay, then for the dressing, I like to put it in a jar. And the dressing calls for a tablespoon or 2 of sesame oil, apple cider vinegar, and roasted sesame oil. And I know we've made some dressings with these ingredients before. And especially for summertime, I just think this is a real light and refreshing dressing. And if you would like to, you can use honey or stevia. If you do use stevia, a liquid or powder, you're not going to use very much and it won't have the volume, so you can add just a tablespoon of water to it. It'll be fine. Then I like to take this and just shake it in the jar. I will keep this in the summertime. In the summertime, I will make this and keep it in the fridge, and then I can put it on different salads. I'm not a big dressing person, but for some reason this one makes me happy. So if you're going to eat this whole salad now, you could pour the dressing over the whole thing and let it sit. If you're just going to eat a portion of it, I suggest that you take out what you're going to eat. It doesn't break down quite as fast that way. This will stay in the fridge for up to a week. The dressing will stay for several weeks. Just pour a little bit over it. And if you let this sit for 10-15 minutes, it's going to be just about perfect. And then I like to sprinkle black sesame seeds just for some contrast, because it's a very pale salad. If you wanted to, you could add some carrots, some shredded carrots to it. You could add some almonds to it. There's a lot of things you could do. I like the simplicity of this. This salad is just one that it's an easy go-to salad when you need something refreshing. This is a great one to take to a picnic, a potluck or something like that for the summer months. So here we have our sesame cabbage slaw. Okay, so enjoy adding some crunch to your life this week, and remember to make better choices today so tomorrow can be your best so you can live in optimum health. See you soon.